Good evening, everyone, and welcome into Daytona International Speedway, home to the 2026 PGR 500. Here tonight, we find ourselves with one final dress rehearsal before the big event kicks off next week. Up in the booth, I'm Austin Green, alongside my partner tonight, Dawson Wise, and as always, our amazing producer, DJ Lyons, who will be doing all the hard work behind the scenes. We're glad to have him with us here tonight. And I'll tell you what, we had a lot of things to talk about. We obviously skipped over the LCQ race here tonight, but we find ourselves getting ready to kick off the feature. So before we get to all that, let's get right into the details of what to expect here tonight at beautiful Daytona.
Yeah, Daytona is the venue tonight. It'll be the venue next week as well. One of the most infamous racetracks in racing history. 31-degree banking in the corners, 2.5 miles. You know, all the details of this place. These drivers know it well by this point in speed weeks. We're getting ready to go from Daytona. There's your track information as we get you set for recruitment race action. This is the final recruitment race of the process before we really get down to business next week and guys go racing for real. So for many drivers, this is the final opportunity for them to get reps under their belt before they get into a heat race next week. The 10-lap LCQ just took place a moment ago. 10 drivers made it out of that. We'll tell you who they are here in just a moment. We're about to enter into a 50-lap feature race, 50% fuel under the cars, a fixed setup by TWRS is underneath the hoods of these race cars. I want to thank those guys for their contribution to next week's race as well. 2 tire sets in the pits. I can't imagine guys will utilize those. It is the NASCAR next-gen race car. Austin, no fast repairs either.
No fast repairs tonight, Dawson. It's going to be crucial to make sure you keep your car clean. And you mentioned that 50-lap feature, just as long, or pretty similar at least, to what we had for the last recruitment race. And obviously, drivers getting a few more minutes here to get warmed up. So before we officially get things kicked off here tonight, I want to mention that it was one of the final dress rehearsals, likely the last broadcasted recruitment race that we'll see here at Daytona. But Dawson, with the feature coming up, of course, next Sunday, there's a lot to talk about, but for some drivers, this could be their last chance to make it in if they don't want to have to pay for an entry.
Yeah, absolutely. For some drivers in the field tonight, we'll try to tell you throughout the evening who those drivers are that are racing for potential free entries. There are payouts on the line tonight, and we'll get to all that information later on as we go throughout the race. For the regulars of PGR, the guys that will be already in the field next week. But for guys that may have joined on a whim or joined by word of mouth, there are free entries on the line tonight. 3 of them will be going to drivers that will get to race in a heat race next week just by virtue of finishing the feature here tonight. So a lot to race for. For the regulars, it's another chance to get a rep. It's another chance to win some money and get your momentum moving the right direction before we head to Daytona for the big one next week. For the new drivers, though, an opportunity to potentially get involved in this event. Maybe coming into tonight, they weren't to begin with.
And Stephen Miles, Daniel Falkingham, 2 of the big names that come to mind for some of the drivers who have found a lot of success at Daytona and in these recruitment races. And I'm sure we'll be calling those 2 a lot here tonight. Well, warm-up is getting ready to wrap up, so we're going to get down to it here tonight, getting things kicked off with your starting grid here throughout the evening. And I'll tell you what, you look at some of the names that we are going to be talking about at the front of the field, and obviously, Dawson, it's going to be a lot of guys that we're used to seeing. The drivers that did qualify in from the LCQ are going to have some work to do. They will be starting towards the back of the field tonight.
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, I'm almost positive there was an invert going into this. We'll see if that does kick in, and it does kick in right here at the tail end of the warm-up process. So the guys that actually came in from the LCQ are going to go to the front. I know that was a late rule change on Monday as well. So those guys will actually start up front. It's the guys that qualified the fastest. The top 30 got in on time tonight. They're going to start all the way at the tail end of the field. They've got a ton of work to do in this next-gen race car here tonight.
Yeah, some big opportunity for some drivers that will be starting towards the front with that inversion, and we'll get right into it here. The man that's going to be starting on the pole here for the feature tonight, Dylan Jones. He did qualify with that first spot and didn't have to race in the LCQ. Corey Wright will start in second. It's going to be Matthew Baker back in third. To his outside, Nathan Harper. Back in row number 3, it's going to be James Waring, one of the Dega Pro drivers. He'll have Colin Kane in the 18. To his outside in 6th. Matt Frady, good to see him back in the field tonight. He'll roll off from the 7th position. And the Dega Pros captain, John Ward, we know how good he is here at Daytona. He'll roll off 8th with Cody Nagels in 9th. And one of the Coke Series drivers, Malik Ray, in 10th.
Back on row 6, it's D3. Daniel Eberhardt, a former Podium 500 winner. He'll go from 11th. It's Trevor Oswernoth, the captain for the Jack Shack. He'll go from position number 12. On row 7, provisionally, Ethan Eckert, car 54, timing and scoring. He'll be in the familiar 12. Michael Tucker to his outside in 14th. Row 8, Jeff Merck, the familiar blue, red, and white number 60. He'll go from 15th. It's Justin Tutunchin outside of him in 16th. On row 9, it's Kel McClenny in the 07. Raced a couple of these now, had some good results. Gordon Glidewell lines up to his outside in the 18th spot. And back on row 10, it's Joey Beck in the 77. Remember, started the SummerSlam 499 back in July. He'll go from 19th tonight. It's Michael Barksdale in the 00 to his outside.
Dana Ryan will have some work to do. He'll start from the inside of row number 11. Jason Radchcock to his outside in 22nd. Cameron Craighead, one of the newer drivers to Money Racing, but didn't take him long to figure it out. He'll start from 23rd tonight. Landon Veliky back in 24th. As we move on back to row number 13, it's going to be Ben Hollum alongside Drew Blaze. Gordon Spain will roll off 27th here tonight with Quentin Steinbach to his outside in 28th. George Jewell rolls off 29th, and it's Jason Stevenson rounding out the top 30.
And, of course, it's the guys that came out of the LCQ race. They are all at the front. I'll name them off right here for you as we get ready to get going. Stephen Miles had to come out of that race. He did not run a lap tonight, so he'll start provisionally on pole. Dwayne Drummond will start on alongside him. Steve Bocock, Jack Simpson, and Thomas Stewart will round out the top 5 starters. Last 5 to come out of that race, at least provisionally: Quentin Steinbach, Landon Veliky, Roger Shelton. Of course, Jason Radchcock, you heard Austin talk about him a moment ago. Austin Mitchell and Justin Melikar, the cars to come out of the LCQ just a few moments ago. That will set the stage for a 40-man, 50-lap feature.
30 V8s getting ready to roar to life here at Daytona. As mentioned, one of the final dress rehearsals before the road to the PGR 500 officially kicks off next week. Stephen Miles has had the hot hand recently, but can one of the rookies knock him off the podium here tonight? Let's find out. Pace car pulls off. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Daytona. Good restart for Stephen Miles. He was able to quickly get up through the gears. Steve Bocock quickly going to fill into his back bumper. Third place, Jack Simpson in the 24. Talking about the effort he put down in the LCQ, and he's going to find himself in great position as they work off a turn 2 for the first time here tonight. High side fades briefly, but now the momentum's going to start to even out as they rock it onto the super stretch.
And I was wondering about this, Austin. How fast would that outside lane start to populate? It's very fast is the answer, and it's familiar faces up there. Eckert was the first one to jump up that I saw. It's Craighead that's actually going to lead the charge up there. He's got a couple of cars with him behind him as well. They're going to try it early and often tonight. Those guys that qualified fastest want to get to the front. Cody Nagels is up there. Melikar's up there. Eberhardt's up there. Baker is up there. Yes, Matthew Baker in the field tonight. Brand new paint on his car, and he rockets up the outside.
Coasting Thunder Machine already trying to make his way to the front. You notice the lights popping on here at Daytona. We are going to transition into nighttime for this race. Justin Melikar now trying to make it work. Third lane, he leads the top side. On the bottom, though, in front of them all, Stephen Miles in the 18 continues to lead, and a lot of shuffling out back. One car briefly dropped below the apron, but everybody holds it together. Still 3 wide, and that outside line has now made it up to about 7th place with Melikar.
This is the best it's worked all speed weeks. Somehow, some way, these guys are making it happen on the outside lane. 3 wide like we haven't seen in over a year. Melikar to second. He'll go even with the leader. Some contact there between Bocock and Melikar. They'll go all the way to the point. Melikar to the lead. Craighead to second, and they'll cycle through behind him. Unbelievable stuff from the guys in the third lane. Eberhardt trying to still make it work. McClenny was that Mobil 1 car you see second in line. He makes it to the front as well as they continue to try to rally the third lane. It has upset the running order already in this race. And again, that's a little bit surprising from what we've seen so far in speed weeks. Now it fades the slightest bit. But I'll tell you what, Austin, they're holding their own up there. Outside continues to work. 3 wide, 5, almost 6, almost 7 rows deep in the field. This is crazy stuff early.
Yes, it is, and I'm not sure if it's the experience or if it's just the true colors of this TWRS racing setup coming to life. Watch out. A little bit of contact at the front. You saw Cameron Craighead there, really tight racing with Cale McClenny. They both hold on to it, and just like that, already 4 of 50 laps complete here at Daytona. Pit strategy going to come into play later, but right now they are racing like it's the last lap. Still 3 wide, but further back, it looks like that third lane is going to start to fade now. Jeff Merck dove to the inside. A lot of others are going to follow in suit. Eberhardt no longer out there, and all of a sudden, that third line has went back down to 2. Up front, though, still leading the way is Cameron Craighead in the 48.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at how early that third lane worked, but it's similar in the way it dissolved, that once they got some new pushing cars up front in those middle two lanes, or the middle and the bottom rather, that outside started to fade, and now they've all found spots in line. But the flip side of it, Eberhardt, Nagels, Baker all gained 15, 20 positions because of that move to the outside. It puts them in a better spot now to try to not have to work the far outside lane and make up spots. In fact, they're going to make up another one right here. Eberhardt to the outside of Thomas Stewart. Merck's going to try it. He wants to rim ride up around Landon Velicki. He's going to bring Eberhardt to the party with him, and just as soon as it dissolved, here it comes again. Merck, Eberhardt, Nagels, Baker will lead that line. McClenny blocks, but how long can he hold off the charge behind him?
Oh, watch out. Velicki trying to save it. The 62 got all sorts of sideways going down the super stretch. He tried to cover up a late move on the 48 of Cameron Craighead, and that was almost our first caution of the night. Everybody does hold on at the front of the field, though. You mentioned that move from some of the NVG drivers. Jeff Merck now leads the way. He's got his teammate Cody Nagels just a couple of spots behind him. Matthew Baker has made his way up here 2 by 2 throughout the rest of the pack, but as these guys continue to dial it up here early, Dawson, we have seen that third lane continue to work. The next question is, who's going to be the next group to try it?
Yeah, I'm really curious myself, because as these guys cycle up front, eventually the engines are going to start to get hot. Somebody's going to want to do it. McClenny thought about it. Nobody goes with him. He'll go to the back. Nobody going to the aid of Cale McClenny. Now one car will jump out to try to help him, but I just can't imagine two cars are going to make very much happen now, considering the guys up front that are pushing. Nagels and Baker, two of the best in the business, as the second car in line now lead both those lines. Merck and Eberhardt are the cars on their nose here, already 6 up and down. And I'll tell you what, I said this on Monday, I'm going to say it again tonight. This racing has been unbelievable the past couple days. These guys have figured something out with this car or the setup or what have you that has made the racing a lot more entertaining than I think we expected coming into Speed Weeks. Up front continues to be Merck and Eberhardt that lead the way. Nagels, you see that line starting to get hot. Eberhardt cycles. Now, this is something those leaders earlier were not doing, is cycling pushers to be able to keep the lines moving. I think that's going to reduce the impact of the third lane, but I would not be surprised to see guys try it. Stephen Miles about 7 rows deep in the field. Dylan Jones 5 rows deep in the field. Even deeper in the field than that, I see guys like Gordon Spain, Ethan Eckert. You always got to worry about Malik Ray as well, as a guy that could potentially make that move. I would worry about those guys to be the next ones to try it as these guys start to get hot up front.
Jeff Merck wasn't going to have second place any longer. He ducked to the inside. No help, though, just yet. That allows the 6 and Eagles to roll up to the back bumper of Eberhardt. Here comes the number 5 Coasting Thunder Chevy Camaro. He got to Jeff Merck, but as you said, Dawson, Daniel Eberhardt controlling this field at the front of the pack. He's got a Ford Mustang, and it is looking stout right now. The other thing to keep in mind, track temp here as we continue to get into the nighttime here at the World Center of Racing, just over 80 degrees. So these cars have a little bit more time to really do a lot of pushing and shoving. You've seen that so far here tonight, and I think that's part of what has allowed that third lane to work so well. Nagels will now take control as they work through turn 3 and 4. He ducks down to the bottom as the sparks continue to fly. It'll be 9 laps in the books as we cross the line this time.
Yeah, already approaching the 10-lap mark. This is unbelievable how we've kept it together this long, considering that third lane and how quickly it got going. Nagels leads at the line by a half a nose over Cameron Craighead. One of the upstarts of the Money Racing community, continues to run well, and has run well tonight and has held his own up here at the front with some of the best in the business. Now they're going to lose a little bit of ground, though. The push is on the bottom. Tandem together, Nagels and Eberhardt. They'll both go clear. I would imagine Eberhardt will try to duck out of line, cool his temps. Jeff Merck's going to take the opportunity. He'll jump high now. Eberhardt will as well. And it's now a duo up top, tandem together. Baker will push Nagels, the tail end of the super stretch. They'll come by a lap car here as we're on board with Nagels. You saw Oswornoff climb the hill. He'll go 1 lap down. He had to start from the pits. The first man to go 1 lap down in this one will try to catch on to the tail end of the lead pack and hope for a caution later. Still 2 by 2 most of the way. Nobody else has really tried that third lane yet in terms of the effort we saw earlier from a few of the NBG Motorsports cars to jump up there. No one's really tried it since then. It's been 2 by 2, pretty civil, other than the pushing at the front of the field. You see 3, 4, 5 deep. It's more realistic than ever, the pushing model in this car. The more cars pushing in line that you can get set together, the faster your line will move. Give that advantage to the outside. Right now, it's Merck back to the point.
This is also pretty much what you're going to expect for, I'd say, the middle portion of the 500 feature as we get into next Sunday, where these guys maybe go double file. You got to obviously click off some laps, and not nearly as long as what we'll see in that 500-mile event here tonight, but 50 laps around this place, obviously still a pretty decently long event. So I think a lot of these guys figured, hey, we got our aggressive start. We saw what these cars can do in the draft. Now try to click off some laps, maybe save a little bit of fuel. It's going to be interesting to see how pit strategy turns out. But up front, continuing to lead the way here, Jeff Merck in the 60, one of the NBG drivers. Landon Velke a few spots back, that 62 car, trying to find his way back to the front. And as they stay 2x2, Dawson, we keep mentioning that third lane. It surprises me that no one else has taken it. But part of me wonders if it's the fact that we just can't find enough teammates to organize and get outside to make it work.
Yeah, it could very well be it, is that you had a very concerted effort on the outside earlier by some guys that either know each other well or work directly together. I'm talking Eberhardt, Merck, Baker, and Nagels primarily that are in that group. So because those guys tried it and went together and were able to either communicate or just knew each other well enough, they've raced around each other for several years at this point, so probably know each other well enough to jump up there and make that move and make it together. I don't see another group that really has that to their advantage. In fact, we've about broken off into two separate packs. It gets back to about Ethan Eckert in 22nd as we ride on board Malik Ray. That outside starting to really make some hay in the second pack. But the first pack back to now Glidewell is the last car in the lead draft, and in fact, he's starting to lose it. Eckert is going to be the last car in line. Trouble out back. There's one car around, and it very well might have been Osborne. Not the caution. It's going to come out here. I can't tell which car that is.
That's Roger Shelton, Dawson, in the number 42 machine. I actually just saw him start to spin on the backstretch. Couldn't tell if he had saved it or not, but obviously did not. And so that will indeed draw our first caution here of the night. That is the RSR machine with, can't tell if he's got really any sustainable damage. That would be the good news. Obviously no fast repair in the recruitment race here tonight, so if you do get any damage, you'll have to go in and repair it manually. And looking at a second view of it here, it definitely looks like there may be a little bit of damage there right around the left front headlight to his Chevy Camaro. So we're going to go back and get a replay of this one, first incident of the night here. Let's see what happens to Roger Shelton in the 42. Looks like this was a little bit after the caution had already came out. We'll back it up a little bit further here. This is going to be as they're going through 1 and 2. And you see, looks like he goes high. That's the 07 of McClenny. And then as they're coming off the corner, what's going to happen here? Right onto the super stretch. Oh, man. Looks like he gets a little bit high and couldn't tell if it was netcode or actual contact from the 07 of Harper, but, excuse me, the 04 of Harper. But, man, that just turned the 07 around immediately. And after some contact to the inside line, I'd say he's pretty lucky, Dawson. That wasn't much worse than it was.
Yeah, obviously it's unfortunate for Shelton. He gets a little bit high there, and the problem for Harper is that he can't just slam on the brakes. He's got 3 cars behind him. They were pretty well tandem, 4 cars deep in line, and unfortunately there for Shelton, he's got a train coming through on the outside, and as he tries to reset, there's just not enough time for Harper to square up that push. So unfortunate there for Shelton and for Harper to get a little bit of contact out of that, but could have been a lot bigger than it was. That second pack was 15 or so cars, and that could have been several. I mean, Malik Ray was in that pack. There were another couple cars back there that were in that pack that are pretty heavy hitters, all things considered, in the PGR scene that could have been involved in that one. They got away with one there. Shelton got away with it as well. And the field may very well take a trip down pit road right here. We talked about strategy. You got to pit at least once. Guys are going to do so here on lap 13.
Yep, Cody Nagels leads him in, Jeff Merck second, and it's going to be the 90 of Eberhardt in third. And not too surprised to see this stop, 50% fuel here tonight. So these guys could all make it right around 20 laps. This is the halfway point in one of those fuel runs, and it's going to now make it a one stop for the rest of the race. And so far, so good. Not seeing any major incidents throughout pit road just yet, and it's so important here during these pit stops, if you want track position, to not overshoot your pit box. That can cost you so much time when guys come in this close together. But it looks like it's a drag race out of the pits. It's going to go to the 6 of Cody Nagels, so he'll get the track position to lead our first restart here the night to green.
Yeah, good work so far. Nagels and Merck obviously are working together over the past couple of weeks. Former teammates at NBG turned teammates again as of the last couple of weeks. So they'll start 1-2, and they've been working well together tonight. I think that's what has kept the third line from really working as much as it did early in the race for those guys. Is there's a lot of cycling going on is what I'm noticing, more so than Monday night. Where Monday night it was a lot of stay in the same lane, keep the guys behind you, only turn out if you have to. Tonight, it's been a lot of as soon as you're clear, one guy takes it, and the next guy takes it, then you're working someone up from second in line on the bottom. There's been a lot of moving and shaking at the front, and I think what that does is it's just prevented the third line from getting any energy. There's no heat up front to worry about under the engine, and unfortunately for the guys 15th on back, it just does not lend itself to that third lane being very viable. So obviously the leaders have figured out how to keep that line from working. Now, how long can they do that, obviously, is an entirely different question. But I think that goes into it, too. I mean, they are cycling 3, 4, 5 times a lap, which is a lot more than I've ever seen in this Gen 7 race car.
Yeah, I would agree. And, I think it's more important also, too, to note, Dawson, how early in the run they were able to do it. I mean, you put yourself in a position where I would say the heats, the LCQs, the duels, and, of course, the feature next week, if you find yourself in a late race restart and you're thinking, man, do I have a chance to get to the front? Well, a lot of drivers are learning that the answer is yes right now. Get to that third lane, and as long as you've got the right help behind and in front of you, you can certainly make things happen. We'll see if the lights on the pace car go off this time as we cross the line. That's Cameron Craighead on the onboard view, and you notice the 48's had a pretty good run so far here tonight. He'll have a little bit of work to do, but that's one of the drivers that really doesn't have any teammates surrounding him at the moment, and he's still doing a pretty good job to make the most of it. 15 of 50 laps in the books here at the World Center of Racing, and if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you joining us. You are watching the final broadcasted recruitment race in the build-up to the PGR 500 up in the booth tonight. I'm Austin Green. Dawson Wise is joining me. And then our amazing producer, DJ Lyon, doing all the hard work behind the scenes. We appreciate him coming on as well. And we'll just talk briefly, Dawson, here before we go back green. Obviously, all eyes on the big event next week. Sponsorships over $2,800, completely sold out. Driver entries continue to fill in. I mean, we were talking about potentially record-breaking numbers, and you look at what the payouts are going to be, just unbelievable. $3,000 to first place. You pair that with that giant PGR 500 trophy. Big payouts that go all the way back to the field, and the schedule next week is going to be a busy one, both for drivers and for us here in the booth.
Yeah, I cannot wait to be a part of that event next week. Got to be a part of it last year, the first one, and it was so cool. Such a spectacle on the Sunday afternoon, kind of to see the spectacle that not only the drivers but also the fans made that race into. This year, even more anticipation. The prize pool, the trophy are cool, but I think to see what it means to guys like Daniel Falkingham, I remember back to the facial expressions we saw from him on the driver cam when he won that race, and his post-race interview. I mean, he called it probably the biggest sim racing win of his career. And that's a guy who competes at the highest level in the oval scene. Won a race, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series last year, and calls that race the biggest win of his career. That, to me, is more important than the money or the trophy. The prestige that guys have built into this race makes it really incredible. Yeah, the schedule, it's busy, it's a gauntlet, but man, when you get to Sunday, it makes it all worth it.
Yeah, we have a lot of money races each week, but we've only got one PGR 500 champion. This year we'll crown a second. Tonight we're trying to find out who's going to be the recruitment race winner as Nagels and Merck, two NBG teammates, lead us back to green flag racing here at Daytona, and it's a good restart up front. Minor checkups out back, but it looks like everybody's going to get off the line okay. Up front, the outside gets the run initially as Nagels jumps up to the high side. The 48 of Craighead, though, waiting for some help behind from Dylan Jones, and he is not going to get it just yet. This top's going to really roll. Everhart back to Stephen Miles, even a little bit further back to James Waring, all getting a big run. This outside's got all the momentum. Can the inside try to reorganize down the super stretch?
Well, not yet. The inside still continues to try to get that momentum going. Now they'll get another helper. It's Everhart. There's a break, by the way, about halfway through this lead pack as guys got really scrambled up on the initial restart. Everybody's still got the draft as of right now. One car tries the outside lane, trying to make it work. There's just not much going up there. It's Austin Mitchell, I think, that was the car that attempted that outside lane. Nobody going with him and not much energy, so he will fall back outside the top 10, outside the top 15. He'll keep on going. Up front continues to be Nagels. He's got Everhart to his left elbow. No real movement trouble. Around goes Dylan Jones in the 0-1-1. He spins to the apron. I don't think he's going to come back up. We all save it other than that. It continues to be Dylan Jones. He keeps it off of the racetrack, but that has completely discombobulated this lead pack now. Guys trying to get reorganized. There's a break from about 10th on back as guys try to make moves to get back inside the lead pack after checking up. You see Jones there. He got turned, went down to the apron. Man, how about that job of driving to keep that thing from hooking back right and coming back up into the field?
Yeah, that, and also how close he was into turn one, Dawson. Usually we see all that momentum slide back up onto the banking at some point, but he was able to do basically a 360, save that car, and keep on driving.
Austin, we got more trouble. We got more trouble up live. It's Nathan Harper, and he's got severe right front damage to his Dallas Cowboys Mustang. Malik Ray started to go around. Harper gets involved, and it will draw the caution here on lap 18.
Man, major damage to the 4 of Nathan Harper. That's going to be a big break for Dylan Jones, by the way. But yes, smoke out of the back. I believe his night is done early in the going here. We're not even halfway, and you mentioned a couple other cars that may have been caught up in this one as well. This is going to make the fuel window interesting, and it looks like Harper here has got it jacked up on the left side, so he'll take some tires, but it's going to need major repairs. All right, let's go back and get a replay here of what happened. See, in that view, Harper was already spinning, so the contact actually started here as they were going through 3 and 4. Oh, that is a massive hit for the 4 Harper. It looked like he got hooked somehow from out back. Couldn't tell who the car was that was actually pushing him. But, man, that never even gave him a chance, Dawson. He got hooked dead right, and it was on from there. It looks like that's actually going to be the 24, one of the drivers who made it through the LCQ. There's a big checkup, though. That's what leads to the stack-up, Dawson, and then ultimately Harper's just kind of a victim of circumstance there as he gets turned from the 24. I'll get a confirmation of who that is, but that's a huge hit.
I'll tell you what, it actually started in front of them. I saw it start just a little out of the corner of my eyes. We were watching the replay with Dylan Jones. I saw it start at the corner of my eye. It was actually Malik Ray that got out of shape in the all-black number 1. And as he got out of shape over in turns 3 and 4, it stacked everybody up. Harper got on the brakes. Unfortunately, the guys behind him did not. That's going to shoot him into the outside wall. Watch Malik Ray here. That's the first car I thought I saw get out of shape. You see him right there. He goes down to the apron, gets out of shape, gets all kinds of squirrely. John Ward, Barksdale, and others. Good job to get on the brakes, but unfortunately, Harper gets turned in the mess behind him as guys tried to scramble.
Yeah, and I just watched it too from one more angle, Dawson, and it actually started even further up front with Ethan Eckert and Landon Velicky getting together, and then as they got together, that was what led to the big checkup from Malik, and then ultimately that snowball effect that continued all the way back to Nathan Harper, who by far got the worst of that one. I think everybody else actually survived. It was a heck of a save from Malik Ray and John Ward to actually not run over the rest of the field, but no, that's some of the problem, Dawson, here at Daytona. We talk so much about it. You hear a lot of drivers say 75% skill, 25% luck. Nothing Harper was doing wrong, but he found himself kind of buried back there, not having the track position he probably would have liked to, and sometimes that's the result that can happen here, getting caught up in a wreck, even if it's not of your causing. Pit stop's underway here. It looks like Cody Nagels leads him in once again. The 90 of Eberhardt will work into his box. Jeff Merck and multiple others here for what will likely be at least full fuel. We'll see if anybody decides to take tires. Doesn't look like any of your front runners are going to, and I said it was going to make it interesting on the strategy, Dawson, but it's looking like here still going to be in that area where we might need one more pit stop sometime around lap 40.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close here in terms of still needing the one pit stop. And on the note of tires, obviously, you know, with a cooler track, a lot of guys going to opt not to take them tonight. They're not going to wear quite as much on these race cars as they would on a warmer track. Now, next week, we may be talking about a different equation. Obviously, next Sunday in a 200-lap race from Daytona, you'll be taking 4 tires quite a bit. But in the heat races and duels, you might think about taking a set of left sides or a set of right side tires just to give you a little bit more grip in the race car on a warmer racetrack tonight under the lights, just a little bit cooler racetrack conditions for these drivers. A couple drivers stayed out, by the way. John Ward and Michael Barksdale are going to inherit the lead here under this caution. Let's get an onboard look from Joey Beck. He exits pit road. Going to have Joey Beck back. He led some laps last August in the SummerSlam 499 in the Gen 6 race car. He's come out tonight as well. We'll see if we'll see him next week in a heat race for the PGR 500. So good to have Joey Beck back. Good to see some familiar faces, guys returning. There were previous starters of Crown Jewel races. Matt Frady is in the field tonight as well. We just heard a few days ago that Matt Dula will be racing in the PGR 500 as well. So good to see guys coming back. That's when you know that it's a Crown Jewel times, when the names start coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, that's for sure, Dawson. And, you know, series owner Michael Triscaro put out a list for kind of a fun look the other day that showed the top 15 iRatings that are already registered for the PGR 500. And you've got at least a handful of Coke drivers, so it is going to be good. I did want to make another note here before we get back to green flag racing. We focus so much on that big hit for Nathan Harper and the checkup in that incident, but Race Control actually reporting a black flag here to Cale McClelney for a secondary incident that actually happened after the caution. This was up front as they were coming through the trial. Well, the 07 going up the racetrack to try to cover Corey Wright, and as he goes back down right across the nose of the 4, he spins out. That gets Corey Wright turned around, and a little bit of damage potentially to Malik Ray as well. And just kind of a not sure what was going on with that issue, but definitely something that I wanted to make a note on here, so he'll have his work cut out for him. But back at the front of the field, John Ward, Michael Barksdale, that's kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum. John Ward, ton of experience on the money racing side. Dega Pro's captain. Michael Barksdale, we have seen him around the money racing side of things, but a little bit of a newer face, and looks like he's got a little bit of damage to the front nose of his Chevy Camaro. It'll be interesting to see if that has any impact on that car trying to lead this outside line.
Yeah, Barksdale running under the Dega Pro's banner tonight, so I think you got to consider that. He's got Ward as a teammate, a friendly face up front, so I think that definitely helps the man driving the big red Chevrolet. Obviously, Barksdale's been around a lot more in the last several weeks and has put together some respectable runs. Tonight, an opportunity now to go from second alongside, again, John Ward. They'll be working together here. Interesting to me, Matthew Baker back up in the mix. We talked about Matt Frady a little bit. Stephen Miles is the guy I want to circle, though. We circled him back on Monday as a potential winner next weekend. He has been on fire in these recruitment races. Some unbelievable runs for that Interstate Battery Chevrolet through speed weeks. Certainly has made himself one of the favorites and already now finds himself back in a competitive position in this recruitment race as well.
Yeah, and, momentum's everything, right? We heard Daniel Falkingham say last year, winning that PGR championship helped propel him to that PGR 500 win. And recruitment races may not be as big in terms of, how much it means to win it, but there is still just as many talented drivers in some of these recruitment races as what we'll see throughout a lot of the heats, duels, and LCQs for the PGR 500 next week. All right, let's try it again. It's going to be 3 laps from halfway as we cross the line this time. 2 of the Dega Pros teammates, John Ward, Michael Barksdale, back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air at Daytona, and it's a good restart up front. Ward's going to get the big jump. We'll see if he decides to go up or if he stays down. Nagels and Miles are going to get a big run as well. Further back in the field, a couple of gaps, Dawson, but as everybody groups together, could see some big runs here down the super stretch.
Oh, that outside line's not going. I think that damage is really affecting the 00 Michael Barksdale. He's trying to get it wound up, but it is just not going for him right now. He continues to drop through the field, and guys are starting to bail out of line. He's going to go to the wall now and let guys go on by. And boy, I can't imagine happy campers in the 90, the 60, the 38 of Spain. A couple of other cars that had to, unfortunately, lose some spots there and are now going to lose some more as guys cycle up into the middle. Trevor Osbornoff is the first to do so. A big break for the 89 as he was able to get back into the lead pack, gain his lap back, and now he's inside the top 10 for the first time tonight and leads the outside. Hang on, he's got a big push here from Eberhardt. They're going to catch Baker. Here comes Nagels, and all of a sudden now back to 2 wide up front. 2 wide, several rows deep. Third line has started. It's 12 rows deep in the field. It's Landon Velicki and Justin Melikar that are the first 2 cars up there. They're making a little bit of headway, and as Nagels comes even and grabs the lead off too, I'm watching those guys. They fade a little bit here off too, but they're trying it. That's the first guys to try it in about 10 laps since we saw that initial run. Nagels to the lead, and he's got Matthew Baker on his back bumper. How about this for that brand new number 5?
Third lane still falling apart further back, but they will try to get going here over the next couple of laps. Up front, Matthew Baker with a big surge off of turn number 4. Can the 89, Trevor Osbornoff from the Jack Shack, push the 5 to the lead? Yes, he does. New leader here at Daytona, and it's Matthew Baker. He'll take over right as we get to lap 24. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Cody Nagel still holding strong, and this is so interesting, Dawson, because they are pushing about 3 and 4 deep on the bottom. Even so, they just can't get that line charged up enough to go to the front, and now this is really going to shuffle things up. Eberhardt and Baker are going to jump to the bottom. That'll give Trevor Osbornoff the chance to cool up top. Now the bottom's going to get the momentum down the back stretch.
Yeah, it's all about how you time up your pushes as well. You got to time it well also, along with just hammering on the back bumper of the guy in front of you. You've got to make sure it's timed well. You got to make sure you have multiple cars moving in the same direction and gaining some momentum. You got to really be precise with your pushes to make them work in a big way. Eberhardt dives out of line. He's going to jump on the bumper of Osbornoff. So cooled for a minute did Trevor Osbornoff, but now has to go right back to work. Being a good soldier here for Eberhardt, trying to push that outside line forward. Eberhardt will inherit the lead for a brief moment. He'll go a nose ahead of Matthew Baker into 1. Baker back to the bottom. And Cody Nagels on his back bumper. That's a duo that has worked well together for several years at this point. They work together now well on the inside lane, but here comes Eberhardt again. Osbornoff got him in the right rear. That was almost trouble for Daniel Eberhardt. Is as close as you can possibly get. He may still get the lead into 3. Boy, I bet you he's catching his breath right now.
Yeah, that definitely made his heart skip a few beats. They're getting ready to go by a lap car, too. This always gets a little dicey here in the high banks. They're going to go 3 wide around Cale McClenny, who got the black flag. Under that last caution, trouble. Big hit out back. 1, 2, make it 3 cars around. Caution going to come back out. And it looked like it was the 36 who took the biggest impact in all of that. I believe that might have been George Jewell, one of the drivers making his first recruitment race start tonight in the Fanatec machine. And yes, he has got big nose damage to the front of that race car, so he'll have to take it in for some repairs. Seeing reports that a few other drivers, potentially Justin Johnson, Michael Barksdale, may have either had some contact or had to go through the grass to miss it. You see big bumper damage there. Looks like that's on the 49 machine. And then Justin Johnson just a spot behind him. So that would actually be Dana Ryan. Curious to see if he had trouble in this, and there's the replay. You see the 36. Pretty big hit to the outside wall. And I'll go back and get one more view of this on exactly how it started. You saw that first contact, though. It got the 36 hook. So you see from the looking out of the rear, oh, man, it might have been a stack up front. A little tough to tell, Dawson. I was checking some of the damage on these other guys, but certainly looked like similar to what we saw in a couple of the cautions tonight with a stack up leading to somebody getting turned pretty hard into the outside wall.
There's actually contact from behind him. There may have been a stack up, but it's Stevenson that works up the racetrack. That's Jason Stevenson right behind George Jewell that works up the racetrack. Actually, he's going to hit a couple cars on the outside and turn them down the hill into George Jewell there. So a tough break. There may have been a stack up that caused Stevenson to have to try to bail maybe to avoid some contact. Let's see here. We got a pretty good look at it up ahead. No, it looks like there's just some contact from out back from Stevenson. That gets everything going. You see Corey Wright get a piece of it there. Lucky for these guys that actually got into the crash. That's the 71 of Rajcock, I believe, also that gets into this. So unfortunate for those guys, but lucky there were not more cars coming because they were dead center of the racetrack when they went sideways.
Yeah, this one could have been big, but you notice here, I was looking back at it, Dawson, the 17 of Stevenson, looks like he actually either gets hit or potentially shot up the track behind by Justin Melikar. That's what gets him so offset of the back bumper of George Jewell. And then he actually gets up into Rashcock, and that's what sparks this whole incident. So there was a lot going on there, and definitely a few guys that were kind of just minding their P's and Q's that get involved in this one. But out of the 3 cars that get involved and then that second hit, the last second, I saw a lot of guys do a pretty good job of dodging this one. And as we see pit stops underway now, it'll be interesting to see how this shuffles the field up towards the back half of the pack. It's also going to be less than 24 laps to go, so we're over that halfway point. With pit stops still underway here, you see a couple of guys that are sitting in the pits. Those are some of the drivers trying to fix some damage. And for Landon Veliky here, Dawson, it feels like it's been a little bit of a rough night for him. Hasn't been able to get up and quite get working with his teammates just yet.
Well, he's tried a couple times. I'll give him some credit. That last run, he and Melikar and a couple of other cars were willing to try that third lane, but again, it just has not had the same success. Granted, I think you need a few more cars than they had. They made a little bit of headway with 3, but you need closer to 5 or 6 to really get that line working and get it moving towards the front of the field. So for Veliky, a tough night, but I think you'd rather get that tough night out tonight rather than have your tough night happen, say, in a heat race next week where you don't get a do-over. You don't get, just the benefit of, it's just a recruitment race. I can kind of get all the, the kinks out tonight. Next week, you don't have that do-over. So if I were to have a bad night, to have a couple circumstances not go my way, I'd much rather it be tonight than next week in the actual PGR 500, where guys, we'll see it happen to guys next week. We'll see guys have rough nights. They'll come in and they just won't be their day. They'll have some bad luck, and all of a sudden their event is over. Tonight, the stakes not quite as high.
It's exactly right, and you got to work out the kinks while you can. By the way, if you're one of the drivers watching at home saying, hey, how can I run this event or run these recruitment races? We got a couple more, likely won't be broadcasted, but there is still eligibility for new drivers to race for free PGR 500 entries. You can join the Discord. We do have the link to the Discord in the description of this video, so make sure you go check that out. Also, Dawson, we keep talking about the busy schedule next week, and for a lot of these guys, similar setups to what we will see next week, with obviously some of the heats being at night, the feature going to transition in tonight, but I do want to briefly mention what that schedule's looking like. Heat races are going to kick off on Monday night. That'll be 8 and 9 o'clock Eastern. The first 2 heat races. We'll have 3 more kicking off at 8 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday, and that continues all the way through Friday, where we'll see heat race number 12. That'll take place at, I believe, 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we will see the pole shootout. New event this year. Very excited for that. The top 2 drivers from each heat race, qualifying-wise, we'll have a chance to race it out in that pole shootout to decide the front row for the PGR 500. The other big news with that, the 2 drivers that finish 1-2 in that race are going to be locked in to the feature. And then, of course, we've got the LCQs and duels on Saturday, followed by the feature with an earlier start time on Sunday. Lights are off on the pace car up front. It is going to be the Jack Shack's Trevor Oswanoth leading us back to green here. The 90 of Daniel Eberhardt will restart to his outside. Cody Nagel's back in second. Gordon Spain, how about that? Up 10 spots from where he started this race at. He'll roll off from the outside of row number 2, and Stephen Miles can round out the top 5 here on this restart. So 23 laps to go. Got to start to feel like we may be getting towards crunch time. The guys that are, I would say, about 20th on back, you really got to start trying to make your way to the front of the field. We saw that third lane work in the first green flag run of the night. That's when you had a lot of the heavy hitters coming from the back to the front. But ever since then, just seems like not a lot of guys have been able to really get it going, or at least been able to make much headway on that third lane. Let's see if we can make something happen this time. Gonna try it once more, back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air, 22 laps to go at Daytona, and it's another good restart up front for the 89 of Trevor Oswanoff. Gotta be careful here that you didn't get too big of a jump. Whoa, man. Cameron Craighead took a look to the high side, almost got Malik Ray turned around. The one's gonna jump back down to the inside. Baker gonna try to get to his back bumper. Nagels jumps to the high side, and they're gonna be dead even for the lead off of turn 2.
Yeah, but Oswanoff got the first push. He gets the push from Stephen Miles on the bottom side as Nagel's help was not able to materialize quite in time. That's going to allow Oswanoff to clear up. He wants to lead. He'll get it here on the nose of Cody Nagels. That leaves the bottom side to a pair of teammates now. Miles pushed by Malik Ray. They finished 1 and 3 in the recruitment race last week. They ran almost 1-2 in the recruitment race earlier in this week on Monday. They ran 3-4 in that race, looking to do so again here to end off the broadcasted recruitment race section of Speed Weeks. They lead the bottom, but it's not rolling very well for them right now. Oswanoff, Nagels, and Eberhardt will go clear here into turn number 1 as the outside's got more organization. Back 4, 5, 6 cars deep back to Craighead. Now more fill in behind them as well. No cycling up front. These guys will all stay put for now on the outside lane. There is a break, by the way. This is about, I would say, 18 or so cars in this lead pack, make it 20 in this lead pack. From there on back, the guys in the second pack are reeling, trying to get back up here. And if these guys continue to pull away, we may very well cut the field in half. Nagels to the inside, turns left. He wants the bumper of Stephen Miles. Oswanoff will get a shot here from Eberhardt off 4. We again go too wide for the lead. Nagels may get all the way clear. He made it very close. He might lead at the line over Oswanoff, but it's close.
Matt Frady found himself the odd man out on that third line. He's going to go all the way to the back of this draft here. So it looks like he will get picked up potentially by the 25. Gordon Glidewell, good to see him in the race here tonight. The 12 back there, Stephen Bocock. Haven't called his name, but here he is hanging on to the lead draft with less than 20 laps to go. And then, tell you what, Dawson, for that second group that you mentioned, they're still hanging pretty close. And if you lose the draft here, a lot more difficult than it used to be to try to catch back up. So a good job by that second group, staying organized. Remember, when you're trying to catch these big packs at Daytona, it's so important to stay single file and work together. Teamwork, the name of the game here. We see it in the back, and we're seeing it up front. Cody Nagels trying to lead the way. But as he sticks, actually, second. That's Daniel Eberhardt leading the way in that number 90 machine. But on the outside, Trevor Oswanoff for the Jack Shack. He'll lead that lap, getting pushed right now by the 38 of Gordon Spain. Daniel Eberhardt in the mix. We called out his name a lot over the course of the last few years in some of these big-time events, such as the PGR 500. Justin Melikar, the 41. A couple other guys here that are looking to make a move.
We got a couple guys around. The caution flag's out. Justin Johnson is one of the cars involved. Ethan Eckert, Michael Barksdale. There's actually several cars here back on the banking of turns 1 and 2 that are stopped. Roger Shelton, Jack Simpson, Gordon Glidewell. This is a pretty relatively sizable incident.
Yeah, and get a replay here in just a moment of exactly what happened, but it looked like it did start right around the 25 potentially of Gordon Glidewell. And this is going to be significant too, because this should put us now well inside that fuel window that everybody can make it without having to worry about pitting under green, assuming you obviously do come in under this caution. And as the field now going to try to catch the pace car, looking at the 25 car, can't tell if there's any major damage on that race car, Dawson, but as we go back and get a replay here, a couple things to look at here. Gordon Glidewell had already spun out by that point. You see that car sitting on the transition from the banking to the apron. That's the 24 right there who starts the contact. See if we can get one more angle of that just a little bit further back. And the 24, who we've talked about a couple times tonight, has been kind of in a few of these cautions, and that's Jack Simpson, who qualified in from the LCQ. And see him running behind Glidewell here as they go into the corner. Oh, no, actually he gets up the track. Not sure if he got a little bump there from John Ward or if the car just chases up the track on him. Either way, as he goes up the banking, there's just nothing that the 25 of Glidewell can do. And, oh, he actually gets a bump from John Ward, Dawson. That's exactly what it is. Right as you're going into the corner where that car is loading up, and it's just a bad spot to have it happen. That's what shoots him up the track. And after that contact with Glidewell, everybody has to try to scatter to miss it, but this one definitely going to collect another 4 or 5 of them. A couple of big hits there, including for Justin Johnson.
Yeah, Justin Johnson is in this one. Ethan Eckert has pretty severe damage as well. He gets a big part of this here towards the tail end. Here's going to be that bump from Ward. There it is. I'll tell you what, it's a couple of things that may have gone into that. Number one is you see guys sliding into it back behind. the Dega Pros captain. There's multiple huge hits to the outside wall. Johnson, I think, was the last one that we saw there. There's a couple things there that go into that push that I think that troubled Jack Simpson just a little bit. I think number one is just that it was unexpected. It was at a weird point in the racetrack, and I'm not sure that he maybe expected it. And they're far enough back in the field, you almost wonder if Simpson's he's just not ready for a bump like that when you're running back around the mid-20s. I just don't think there's a point in time where you're expecting a bump that big. Also, it's a little bit offset to the left as well. So it may very well have gotten him out of shape, gotten the wheel out of his hands just a little bit also. So a couple of things there is Ward just shot right through the back of the 24. I think it's a number of cars involved. I mean, Glidewell had big damage. Eckert had big damage. So did Johnson. Look, I saw Stevenson involved, Colin Kane involved. There's a number of guys that were running mid-pack that are involved in this one.
Yeah, and a couple drivers actually got pushed into it kind of after the incident already had occurred. But John Ward, I do want to note, did get a big bump actually from out back. So another incident there where multiple cars kind of lead to what ultimately causes the caution. But this is going to set us up now with likely somewhere around 15 laps to go. And there you see the 92 of John Ward cruising around the banking. And that car looks cleaned up. So I think he'll still be in good shape. And, you know, I'd be curious to see what race control says here, Dawson. I don't think that they're going to put that on the 92, and that would be a big deal because that would keep Ward still in the running. And it looks like confirmation here potentially that, yeah, I don't think that Ward's going to get a penalty on this one. Either way, with pit stops now complete, we line up for this next restart. On the front row, Trevor Oswanoth, Gordon Spain, Jeff Merck, Daniel Eberhardt back in row 2, Nagels and Cameron Craighead in row 3, and got some big movers here at the front of the field, Dawson. The man that leads them all, though, is still your race leader. Trevor Oswanoth has picked up 28 positions from where he started this race at. And this late, I think once you get to the front, Dawson, the mindset's to be you got to keep that track position.
Well, Oswanoth missed the start. He missed the grid. He started from pit road, went a lap down. We mentioned him getting lapped by the leaders, and on one of the race starts was able to make up enough positions that now here he is at the front of the field. So at one point, he got passed by these very same leaders that he's now running around. He's running in front of them. What an impressive effort so far for Oswanoth. He's another one over the past couple weeks in this next-gen race car that has started to find some success heading into the PGR 500 next week. Certainly a dark horse pick, not only to make the event next Sunday, but potentially to be around at the end of it and have a say in the winner. So Oswanoth, another name to look at. You got a number of those guys up here, by the way. Oswanoth, Merck, Eberhardt, Nagels, Miles, Malik Ray, Matthew Baker. I mean, you got a number of heavy hitters that are in this lead pack right now. And you got guys like Gordon Spain. Gordon Spain, a great story in last year's SummerSlam 499 and in the PGR 500, made deep runs in both. So that's a guy I think you got to look out for. Cameron Craighead, I think, is now on that list, one of the upstarts. Justin Melikar, I think, is in the same boat. He made the SummerSlam 499 last year as well. So a number of guys in this lead pack right now are going to be guys that you better get used to us saying their names. They're going to be around when it comes down to business time on Sunday, February 8th.
Rookies and veterans, you're going to see them all as we take a blimp shot here of beautiful virtual Daytona International Speedway, which will, of course, be home to the second annual PGR 500 taking place in just less than a week. Not too late to sign up, though. Going to be a fun one. A lot of things to look forward to. And I love that we get these previews, Dawson, because it gives us so many little things that we can pick out that we're going to be watching for all throughout next week. I still think the biggest note that we have taken from tonight has been the usage of that third lane, and we found out that it can work. The big key is, though, you have to have the right help behind you to make any progress going towards the front. Now, the other thing, Dawson, that we've seen throughout the week with these cars, it's not like it used to be where you could get 2 to 3 guys pushing and just absolutely go around the whole pack. You got to push probably about 3 or 4 cars deep before a line really starts to generate momentum. And it makes me wonder, for some of the inexperienced guys, if you find yourself in that situation where you're getting pushed or you have to push 3 to 4 cars deep at the end of the run, what do you do? It's going to be interesting to find out. We'll have to see. But up front, it is all guys that are used to being up here. Gordon Spain, maybe the one wild card. We'll see what he can do. It's going to be 15 laps to go from the World Center of Racing. The iRacing.com pace car makes the left turn, and we're ready to get going once again. 15 laps remaining. Green flag back in the air. Trevor Oswanoth gets the jump. He'll have lane choice here as they cross the start-finish line. It looks like for now he's content to stay low. Jeff Merck going to be the first man to get the push. Cody Nagel, Stephen Miles. Whoa, watch out. Oswanoth tried to cover the move from the 60 of Merck as he jumped up top. and that was something I didn't expect to see. I'll tell you what, Merck's getting a little crafty here. That inside still with all the momentum. Watch out if the 18 can get clear. Will Steven Miles jump up off of turn 2?
He's just waiting for the opportunity. There it is. Miles up. Nagels up to block. Miles thought about dropping down in front of his teammate Malik Ray. Not going to let it happen. Ray will bring the inside forward. He's got Malik Ray, or rather Baker and Justin Melikar with him. They're going to pick up Jeff Merck as Nagels blocked the advance of Miles on the outside. Osborne blocked all of them. He'll now lead the outside lane. Merck leads the inside lane. They're snaking all over the place. These pushes are getting more and more aggressive and less conservative, if you will, in terms of the fact that these guys aren't really squaring up as much as they were earlier. The goal is just push the guy in front of you. Even if he can't keep it completely straight, you got to trust that he can hold on to the race car in front of you. Osborne there with a bit of a big moment. Merck had one as well as they both received their pushes. Third line, 12 rows deep. Jones and Ward are the two cars up there right now. They're going to need more help and more energy if they're going to go anywhere. Now Eberhardt's going to lean out of line. Daniel Eberhardt, he'll bring Cameron Craighead with him, and all of a sudden, here goes that third lane again. They're going to need at least 1 to 2 more, but it's the most we've seen since Nagels and company made it work. It's 3 wide, 7 rows deep, and trouble. Eberhardt, Spain get together. Craighead is into it as well. The green flag will stay out, but we've got guys all over the place.
Yeah, they're all going to try to save it here. Man, that was close to being a big moment. Good job on Eberhardt there for keeping that car from coming back down the racetrack. Oh my goodness, Craighead tried to sneak down to the apron. We almost had a massive second incident behind. This did cause a massive checkup. A little bit surprised that Race Control did not throw the caution on this one, but since we're staying green, we're going to go back up front here, at least for the moment. We'll have to get a replay on that here in just a second. Tough break for Daniel Eberhardt and company, but leading the way now, the 60 of Jeff Merck. Him and Trevor Osmanoff have a little bit of a breakaway from the rest of the pack, but it's not going to last. Here comes Malik Ray and Cody Nagels, 2x2 out back. Coming to the line, it's going to be 12 laps to go this time at Daytona.
Merck and Osborne tandemed away, but now they're going to have to split up, and Osborne beats Merck to the punch. He's going to go back to the lead. Really sharp move there by Osborne as he blocks the advance of Nagels, Miles, and company on the outside lane. That's Michael Tucker that's worked into the picture in the Tide Toyota. Now the third line starts to work. Here comes the Dega Pros captain, John Ward. He'll bring Daniel Eberhardt with him. There's one more car in that line as well. They work the third. Now Spain's going to jump up as well. A pair of Dega Pros cars up in the outside lane. Spain and Ward working together. Matt Frady, that's going to allow him to sneak through the middle, and he'll be in the picture now as they work back into turn 3. Enter Quentin Steinbach in the picture as well, fourth in the middle. That gold and brown Toyota, I believe, or yeah, it is a Toyota Camry in the center lane. The outside trying to get going. Now Frady's going to jump up there. All of a sudden, after no action for so long, everybody wants a piece of the third lane.
After that close call last lap, I thought maybe some of these guys would shy away from trying to get that third lane going, but they have not. John Ward, Gordon, Spain, and Matt Frady all up there, but Spain's going to tag the outside wall. That's going to check up all the momentum, and it stays with the bottom 2 lines for now. Cody Nagels continues to lead, but guess who? Steven Miles, the man who has won 2 out of the last 3 broadcasted recruitment races, will now find himself going to the lead as they work into turn 3. It'll be just 10 laps to go when we cross the line this time. NBG trying to get a win. Steven Miles trying to capture a third, but further back, you mentioned the 20 car. The Tide Machine, what can he do? Michael Tucker and a few others all trying to see if they can get up here and mess around with the leaders.
Well, Nagels got some help there as Malik Ray bails on the inside lane. He'll go bottom to middle in front of Michael Tucker and behind Osborne. So advantage middle. Steven Miles parachute out the window just a little bit there for the bottom lane. Ooh, almost trouble. Melikar into Quentin Steinbach as he tried to shoot the gap through the center. He'll stick Steinbach up by the outside retaining wall, and it's Melikar that gains another spot in the center. Up front, it's still Nagels. Top 3 are clear. Top 4 are clear. Top 5 are clear back to Melikar. Tucker turns left. Osborne turns left. So does Malik Ray. Nagels by himself. Osborne Ray tandem past the 6. It's Osborne back out front for the Check Shack. But Malik Ray, I can't imagine he's going to be very patient. There's the move to the outside. Ray moves up. Osborne throws the block. Ray with a crossover. He's back on the bottom. Ray pushed by Tucker. Osborne pushed by Nagels. They'll have Melikar, Miles on the bottom. 2 cars back of his teammate. They're all over the place back into 1. 9 laps to go. And Osborne continues to show the way.
Oh, man, it's so hard to believe these guys are doing this at almost 200 miles an hour here at the high banks of Daytona. Justin Melikar looked like he was taking a peek. Maybe thought about going third lane for now, though. He'll stay disciplined enough to stay in line, maybe trying to get just a little bit of cooler air into the nose of his Chevy Camaro. Nagels now drops back to the bottom as they go into turn 3. Up front, though, leading them all is still the 89 of Trevor Oswanoff. Bottom's got the lead, but there's a little bit of separation. That's going to allow Oswanoff to charge, and it'll be a drag race back to the line with just 8 laps to go here at Daytona.
Bottom lane fading again. Malik Ray and Cody Nagels trying to get hooked up. They don't have much help out back. Michael Tucker now bails to the middle. He'll leave him with Miles, and the bottom lane fades in a hurry. Ray all the way back outside the top 5. So too is Nagels. Here comes the third lane. Baker, Dylan Jones, John Ward, and others. It got blocked up front. There's one car in the outside wall. That's Mitchell Trouble. Baker's going to go around. Matthew Baker in the outside wall. Jones, Ragecock, and others crash to the inside. The caution will come out and send us to a late restart.
And once again, it all starts with chaos on the third lane. It looked like for Baker up top, he's going to follow somebody into the outside wall. It's actually going to be the 8 of Austin Mitchell who initially gets up into the outside wall. And we'll go back and look at that replay here in just a moment. But for the 5 of Baker, that is certainly not the way he wanted things to go. And you'll see right here, there's Baker getting into the outside wall, but then he gets turned out back from Dylan Jones. And I think that one's going to likely get chalked up as a racing incident, Dawson. Just looked like a lot of pushing and shoving up front. After Mitchell got into the wall, Baker followed him, and then that checkup didn't really leave anywhere for the 11 to Dylan Jones to go. And as he got into the back of Baker, well, the rest was history, but certainly a couple of decent shots here. Once again, though, you feel like this could have been a whole lot worse than it was. Baker takes a pretty good hit off the front nose, and I saw a few other cars that got shot down to the inside wall. I was curious here for Dylan Jones. Unfortunately, looks like these guys were not able to get those cars wound up in time. There was a few big hits down on the inside wall. Dylan Jones likely getting the worst of it. But just, another case, Dawson, of a little bit of bump drafting. It's the end of the race. This is what you got to expect. A lot of aggression sometimes can lead to the chaos that we see here at Daytona.
Yeah, you see it there. I think that's the best angle for me to kind of segue into talking about Baker. Unfortunately for Matthew Baker, as he hits the wall after trying to push Austin Mitchell, he has to kind of oversteer that car. He has to pull the wheel to the left to kind of get himself off the safer barrier. When he does that, at the same moment, Dylan Jones gives him a little bit of a bump in the corner as the stack-up starts in the outside lane, and it just upsets that 5 car too much. He goes left then right, he goes into the outside wall, and then guys obviously spin to the inside trying to avoid. Dylan Jones, Matt Frady, and Jason Ragecock were the 3 cars that also get a piece of this. It's unfortunate. It's not at fault for Dylan Jones, I don't think. He's obviously not going in there saying he's meaning to wreck Matthew Baker. It's just he happened to get him at the worst possible time when Baker had just started to tweak that wheel to the left to pull himself off the safer barrier.
Yeah, and there's so much going on around you. If you're Dylan Jones, you feel like, hey, if I slam on the brakes, I'm probably getting run over myself. So you try to kind of make the best of a bad situation in that case. But Nathan Harper, I'll tell you what, I know he's not going to be in, competitive chance here, but just to see that car back out on the racetrack is surprising after the damage he had a few cautions ago. This is now going to set us up for a restart that's getting really close to overtime. I think we'll likely have 3 or 4 laps to go for this one. But if we get another caution, it could be sending us into a late race overtime. And well, we've seen that one before, Dawson. You think back to last year's PGR 500, a lot of late race restarts, so these guys need to get practice with it now. Some big names up here, though. We talked about one of them earlier, Joey Beck. Here he is. He finds himself sitting in that 3rd spot, and he's going to have a big opportunity in that 77 car to potentially find a win here tonight. Just behind him, the 8 of Austin Mitchell, partially involved in that last caution, but didn't get any damage and was able to actually stay in front of where the bulk of the wreck happened, so he'll still line up here inside the top 5. Daniel Eberhardt, boy, how did he get back up here, Dawson? We saw him involved in that last incident, but the 90 not giving up either, and he's still in contention to win it.
Yeah, this is the cool part of events like this, right? And we'll see this next week in the heats and the LCQs and the duels, and perhaps even in the PGR 500, where you're going to have the heavy hitters up here. You've got Daniel Eberhardt, you've got Cody Nagels, you've got Trevor Oswanoff, the Malik Ray, and Matthew Baker was up here at one point. Obviously, Stephen Miles, Jeff Merck, the guys that we expect to be towards the front. But then you're going to have guys that play it smart or have a little bit of luck on their side as well and get to the front that way and find themselves in position to make the right moves. Justin Melikar has not had the night I don't think that he's wanted to have in the 2nd position, but because of a little bit of luck, but mostly just staying in it, being smart, making the right moves, he finds himself now on the front row for a late race restart. Joey Beck, Austin Mitchell, guys that have just kept at it, stayed smart, kept their cars clean, and now find themselves with an opportunity to win. It's the crazy part of these events is you just never know when you'll be in position to get a victory, whether that's in a heat race to get yourself to a duel or whether that's potentially to go home with a trophy and $3,000. And you kind of get a practice run. I like to consider these kinds of restarts practice runs. Dress rehearsals, we talked about that term earlier. This whole race is a dress rehearsal, if you will, for next week. But this restart is going to be a dress rehearsal for a lot of guys for an in-race scenario, potentially. Say you're in a heat race, you need to gain a spot to get into a dual race, or you're in a dual race, you need to gain spots to get into the feature, or you have to defend to stay in the feature, or you have to defend for the win, for example. This is a nice practice run for all these guys in case they find themselves in this situation next week. So now they know what to do. They can write it down in their mental notebook and know exactly the steps to take to get a win, to get a transfer, to win a trophy, whatever the case may be.
And it looks like this will not bring us to our one and only attempt at an overtime. It's going to be still a natural green-white checkered +2, as we will be coming to 4 laps to go here for this restart. The 89 of Oswornoth going to line up on the bottom. Melikar to his outside, and then, of course, Beck and Eberhardt lining up in that second row. Those two are going to be the crucial roles here for who can do the better pushing. But, man, I almost think Dawson, unlike what we saw the last couple of years, I think I like being the leader this year, especially coming down to the end of these races. We've seen people being able to get away with a little bit more aggressive blocks. The runs aren't quite as big as what they used to be, so it's also a little bit more predictable if you find yourself in one of those lead spots coming down towards the end of one of the big races next week. Now, if you look back a little bit further, guy like Steven Miles, some of the other big names that are trapped on this inside line, Cody Nagels, Michael Tucker, I mean, what do? You can't just jump up to the outside if there's not a spot there. So do they try to push and see how many guys can get clear on this inside, or do they try to figure something else out? It's a chess game, and it all happens at almost 200 miles an hour here at Daytona. And if you're just joining us, you picked the best time of the race to do it. Going to be a 4-lap sprint to decide the winner of the final broadcasted recruitment race in the road to the PGR 500. Who is going to win it tonight? Let's find out. Trevor Osbornoff back into the restart zone. Green flag in the air. 4 laps to go at Daytona.
Yeah, big test here for Joey Beck. This is the first time tonight that he's run this close to the front. It was charged for a moment with pushing Osbornoff, but now the only charge ahead of Joey Beck is hold the wheel straight and hold on for dear life, because he's got Nagels, Miles, and Tucker up underneath their back bumpers. They are 4 cars deep on the bottom. Trouble out back, though. They're crashing. Multiple cars around. This one will send us to overtime as cars scatter in turn 1 mid-pack.
We didn't even get up to full pace as that incident took place somewhere between turn 1 and 2. We'll have to see. It looks like we still got 1 car spun around back there. The 4 of Harper. You see the damage, but that was from an earlier incident, unless he was potentially involved in this one as well. We'll go back here in just a moment to get a look at this. And, Dawson, we talked about the chaos up front, but, I mean, these guys out back are in desperation mode, and you see as they're going into the first corner here, climbing the bank in. Here's the onboard view from Nathan Harper. And it looks like it's actually going to happen quite a few rows ahead of him. Harper sees it, ducks onto the apron, and a couple spinning cars here. The 04, though, is able to dodge it, but he does spin around in the process. A little bit of contact to the outside wall, it looks like. Couldn't tell exactly who that was. It was the first car to initially spin. I'm not sure if you got a better look at it here, Dawson. Trying to figure out if that was maybe James Waring, the 13. I believe it may have been. And we're going to watch this all the way back from the restart, because the guys up front got a pretty good jump. But what's going to happen here for some of these guys out back, some of them start to fade, but all these runs are going to quickly close up as everybody's starting to get up to speed and the draft starts to pick up. And, oh, man, just looks like a couple of cars start to wash up the track from a lot of pushing and shoving. It was Baker and Waring, and as they did start to wash up, we saw one car that got under both of them and got Waring sideways and really led to that incident.
Yeah, guy's washed up there, and as Waring tries to reset and work back down the hill, unfortunately he's going to get turned. And I'm not really sure that McClenny, who's that next car in line, had much he could do about this, but watch up ahead. Watch Baker start to wash up, still washing, and Waring's trying to chase him, and unfortunately when he tries to reset and come back down is when he's going to get some help from behind. Again, I don't think that McClenny had much he could do. He was getting pushed as well. They were pushing pretty well 5 cars deep in that outside lane back behind McClenny, so not much he could do other than just, again, hold the wheel straight and hope that James Waring stays up and out of line. Unfortunately, Waring does not. Comes down across McClenny's nose, and it's on from there.
Yeah, and it was also a little bit tough to tell, too, if, was James Waring trying to come back down to cover, or did McClenny just kind of hook him just as soon as he tried to go down. Either way, obviously led to what has now been not one, not two, not three, but I'd say quite a few more cautions than a lot of drivers expected here tonight for a 60-lap race. 6th caution of the night. You know, last year in the PGR 500 feature, Dawson, really not all that many cautions for 500 miles worth of racing. So that's something that could be a little different too. The patience not quite as much, and guys not as forgiving here, knowing that this was a shorter race. Actually only 50 laps tonight. I want to make sure I make that correction. But you mentioned it's going to be our one and only overtime attempt. But before we do get to the green-white checkered rules here for PGR, we got to line ourselves up for who is going to be up front for that final restart. Trevor Osranoff has just continued to hold this lead, but it seems like the broadcaster's curse always seems to find one of these guys out late, so we'll have to see if the 89 can hold on. Justin Melichar, though, going to line up second. Joey Beck back in third. Daniel Eberhardt, who picked up 26 positions from where he started this race at. He'll roll off from the outside of row 2 for this final restart. Nagels, Ray, Miles, Merck, Tucker, and Ward all rounding out the rest of the top 10. Dawson, I know we're not supposed to pick favorites up here, but man, that 89's been looking good staying up front here towards these last few restarts.
Yeah, I think you always got to consider Osranoff. Again, he's a multi-time winner over the past couple weeks in this next-gen race car, so I think you always got to have his name in the hat. I think I go back to Stephen Miles. I know he's trapped on the bottom likely right here for this restart, but I always go back to the 18. Again, 2 out of 3 wins in these recruitment races that have been broadcasted. He's also got a couple wins outside of the PGR scene as well. He's catching the perfect pre-PGR 500 heater, and it's almost the same pattern that we saw Daniel Falkingham have last year going into this event, so you gotta, I think, watch the 18. I think Daniel Eberhardt is one of those names. Eberhardt's been on quite a run over the past few weeks, kind of getting back to form, if you will, back when he was a Podium 500 champion, looking to go into the PGR 500, add another trophy to his illustrious sim racing career over the years. Malik Ray certainly up there, the defending 2-time winner of the SummerSlam 499 and the winningest driver in series history. I think I settle on Cody Nagels, though. A guy that I talked about the last few days that has gone back to form. A guy that we saw not necessarily running poorly for several weeks, but when we did see him, it just didn't feel like him. The race winner of the ERA Omega Cup Spring Bowl back in 2024 and a multi-time PGR winner, has the record for the most consecutive Thursday night wins. I think you look at a guy like him, he finished 5th in last year's PGR 500. He knows how to get the job done in the big race, and he's back into form at the right time. I think you got to watch car number 6 as well.
Definitely a lot of big names that are going to have a shot at the $3,000 guaranteed winner cash prize for the PGR 500. So with 2 laps to go here, remember, not going to have any more cautions. That's the biggest difference with a PGR green-white checkered versus a regular one. So we will be racing these 2 laps out entirely. If they wreck out back or up front, just got to try to get through it or keep the car rolling. Now, I will mention for some of these leaders here, there's almost a little bit of unspoken trust that you work together. Obviously, you don't want to clean yourself or anybody else out if you're inside the top 5 here on the first lap, because then you take yourself out of contention to have a shot to win it. So I think these top 5, top 6 stay pretty double file here early on. It's going to have to be somebody a little bit further back. You go right around the 10th, 11th place spot. Gordon Spain back to Stort, Steinbach, Shelton, some of those guys to maybe make that first move to try to get this third lane working. But if you wait too long, we've seen it before with this car, Dawson, you may run yourself out of time. 5 miles, not that long here at Daytona International Speedway, not when you're going almost 200 miles an hour. These guys are going to rocket through them pretty quickly. Field now back to double file as we will get one final check of the tires, tug of the virtual seat belts, and the pace car will pull off one more time. If you like short finishes, a sprint at Daytona is all you could ask for. It's going to be a 2-lap shootout, green, white, checkered style. Here we go. Can Trevor Osranoff hold on? Let's find out. Green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go at Daytona.
Osranoff got a huge jump, and it's almost like he had the hand out the window. Joey Beck immediately to him. Osranoff's going to jump up. He'll take the spot in the middle of the bumper of Melichar. Beck leads the bottom now with Nagels as the pusher, and they will run side by side here into turn 1. Beck not quite to the left rear quarter of Trevor Osranoff yet. That middle lane will start to roll, and the question now becomes Melichar, Eberhardt, Malik Ray, who's the first to take the turn out of line. Further back, Steinbach and company. Trouble! Miles! Huge save for the 18 as they work back down to 3.
Oh my goodness, Stephen Miles is going to keep himself in it with that save to Toonshot. It's going to pick him up 4 wide. They're going to wreck out back. Big trouble. The 36 goes around. One more car is going to clean out the back half of the field, but we're not going to see a caution. Up front, we stay 2 by 2. Oswornoff leads. Justin Melikar second. They're coming back to the white flag. 1 lap to go at Daytona.
Now the mad scramble is on. Who's got the better push and who's got more help right now? It's the outside lane. Justin Melikar with a midnight group goes to the point. He'll have Eberhardt with him. Now the decision. Do you go down and block Oswornoff? Do you stay home up top? Here comes the bottom, rallying back to the inside of Daniel Eberhardt. Melikar now in the position of blocker. Down the back straightaway for the final time. No move third lane yet. Steinbach's trying, but nobody home. Oswornoff trying to get back to the left rear. It's all Justin Melikar in turn 3. What a win this would be for him.
Oh, man, Melikar's got a big run, but can the inside charge up one more? Trevor Oswornoff with a big push from the 77 of Joey Beck's. Final time off of turn 4. Everybody going to lock in for one more push. Contact sends Melikar up. Nobody's going to beat him back. Trevor Oswornoff wins it at Daytona. Oh, my goodness. The 89 of Trevor Oswornoff. We've seen him win in PGR before, and he returns to victory lane once again tonight. Joey Beck with a great run. He's going to take home second and get himself a free entry into the PGR 500. And Daniel Eberhardt is going to round out the podium. Well, Dawson, if you don't like Daytona, I don't know what you're missing out on. That was about as good of a finish as we could have wanted.
This car continues to improve in terms of racing quality and entertainment value over the past couple of weeks. I'm telling you, these guys have figured something out, and it's set us up for some magic next week in the PGR 500. And Trevor Oswornoff's hoping that this isn't the last time he's in victory lane in Speed Weeks. You're about to see a really emphatic celebration here for the captain for the Jack Shack. He always knows how to bring the crowd to its feet in the celebration post-race. Again, I talked about he and Steven Miles and guys that are on heaters. This is a guy to watch. He has been pretty much picture perfect in this next-gen race car in his racecraft, and it showed tonight a masterclass by Oswornoff as he gets the job done.
Yes, it was. And Dawson, I said I think I'd want to be the leader here at the end of one of these races. That's exactly what Trevor Oswornoff was. It pays off in the biggest way. He will be taking home the top cash prize here tonight as he continues to burn it down across the Daytona International Speedway logo. And I mean, you look back in the field, Malik Ray, Cody Nagel, some of those guys that had a shot at the end, but whatever the issue was there with Justin Melikar and maybe whoever was pushing him really set that line out of shape. And if this was the old car, who knows? Maybe you can make that last second run, but as soon as that momentum was lost on the outside, you pretty much knew that Trevor Oswornoff had it wrapped up. And with as much momentum as we talk about and how much it matters going into Speed Weeks, this is exactly what the 89 needed. Not only him, but the Jack Shack. Certainly going to be one of the bigger teams in contention to try to take home a PGR 500 championship. Well, the burnouts are over as the celebration will continue, though, post-race. Let's talk about your replay here at the end of the race, because this was exciting. Tell you what, Dawson, first thing that comes to mind here was what happened with Justin Melikar. You see as they work onto the white flag lap, Melikar had the advantage, and they really stayed that way until they got later on in the lap. All of a sudden, Melikar got high, and Oswornoff was able to bring it home.
Yeah, not really sure what happened between Melikar and Eberhardt here off turn 4. It was just a push gone awry or what the case may be. We'll get a good look at it here off turn 4. I really thought Justin Melikar was in the best position. He had more help behind him. You see the numbers favoring the outside lane even all the way down into turn 3. But this push in the middle of the corner from Joey Beck, I mean, this is Herculean to get Trevor Oswornoff back out front. And then off turn 4, oh, it's Beck that works up the racetrack. You see it right there. Beck up into Melikar. That's going to hook Melikar left. Somehow, Trevor Oswornoff, I have no idea how he doesn't get out of shape. But Eberhardt does as he gets into Melikar. And Justin Melikar here is coming back down trying to reestablish his position. Obviously, Daniel Eberhardt, I can't imagine he's going to be a very happy camper. Malik Ray is involved as well. So it's not necessarily a bad push from Eberhardt. It's actually Beck worked up the hill. Whether he had some help or not, he might have had help from out back as well in terms of getting through the middle of the corner there. But either way, Beck works up and gets into Melikar. And boy, it is on from there. There are several cars crashing here at the line. No surprise here at Daytona. It ends in a shower of sparks with Oswornoff leading the way.
And it's not often at Daytona that you get any sort of a chance to look in your mirror and say, hey, there's nobody alongside me. I think I got this one in the bag. But Trevor Oswornoff did get a brief chance to feel that there as he was working into the tri-oval. Well, we are going to go ahead and get a look at your final results here tonight from the World Center of Racing. Of course, unofficial, but one thing that we know will be official is none other than your race winner. Trevor Oswanoth for the Jack Shack gets the job done. He is your race winner in recruitment race number 5. Joey Beck, we talked about that great run for him. Luckily, everybody that had that contact there coming to the line did save it, so I don't think that race control will issue any penalty to the 77. And the last man on the podium tonight, after unofficial results, is going to be Michael Tucker. Daniel Eberhardt takes home 4th. Good run for Nagels as well, as he'll round out the top 5. Coke Series driver Malik Ray brings home a 6th place finish here tonight. Gordon Spain in 7th. It's going to be Quentin Steinbach making a late comeback to finish in 8th. Dwayne Drummond in 9th, and Cale McClenny, after some adversity throughout this race, will round out your top 10.
Heartbreak for Justin Melikar tonight. He'll go 11th. It's disappointing, I'm sure, for him, but a great run for car number 84 for the Midnight Group. Jeff Merck finishes 12th tonight. John Ward in 13th. Corey Wright in 14th. Matt Frady in the 15th spot. Michael Barksdale goes 16th. You saw the moment for Stephen Miles on the white flag. He'll go 17th. Jack Simpson 18th. Landon Veliky 19th. And Roger Shelton rounds out the top 20.
Moving on back to the last 10 cars in the field here tonight. Matthew Baker in the Coasting Thunder, number 5 car, is going to finish 21st. Thomas Storts didn't get a chance to call his number too many times tonight. Tough run as he finishes in 22nd. Colin Kane back in 23rd. It's going to be Ben Hollum finishing in 24th. Jason Rajcock in 25th. Justin Johnson got caught up in a wreck later on in the race. He finishes 26th. Nathan Harper 27th with Dylan Jones 28th. Justin Tatunchad finishes in 29th, and it's going to be Austin Mitchell rounding out your 30-car field here tonight. Well, we had a lot that went on, a lot to break down and still talk about here in post-race, but before we get to all that, what do we got to do? Well, we got to interview your top 3 in the race here tonight. And what better way to start than with your race winner? We're going to bring up the man himself, the 89 of Trevor Oswanoth. He gets the job done here tonight. Trevor, this is Austin and Dawson up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Well, man, you're the race winner here tonight. I know you got to be excited about it. It may have only been a recruitment race, but tell us a little bit about how you were able to fend everybody off there at the end.
That was pure skill and determination. I had to cut the sleeve off there a little bit to get on these boys here tonight. But no, man, that's a little teamwork there with me and Justin trying to control the lines and just kind of figure out what lines were doing what and just kind of watching it, paying attention to it, seeing what it was doing all night, and just kind of at the end, it's more luck than anything, to be honest with you. We just tried to race it out there at the end. And, yeah, man, came across with a win. And I ain't mad at it. But I sure hope I wouldn't be mad at it if this was the 500 either. So, yeah, man, it's one of them things. And we're just out here just trying to get some wins and trying to get some reps for the PGR 500 coming up.
Yeah, that is certainly the big focus. But, Trevor, I got to feel like this gives you some momentum heading into that event. We did see that third lane working early. I know you had to start from the pit, so maybe didn't get to work with that too much. But was there anything that you figured out about the car tonight? And do you feel like the momentum is going to help generate into that into the week of the PGR 500?
Oh, yeah, man. We learned some things within the past couple of days. We had all the boys in the shack just looking through races and films and replays and whatnot. We think we figured something out here tonight we were trying out. And yeah, we think we got some things for these boys. It's still weird because this car is very unpredictable too. I mean, when you think you know something about it, it's the complete opposite. The third line comes in whenever it wants to at certain situations at certain times, just depending on who's doing what, who's where on track, and who's pushing. So it's definitely an awareness type of car. You have to know where to be and where to put yourself in this race to predominantly try to get you a win. So yeah, man, this is good reps. I love these recruitment races. I love the aspects of them. I hate that we went to this format because I really like to bring all these other guys in and race with the money racers. I thought that was a cool concept, but this is, we get everybody to race in these two. So yeah, man, it's been good, and we're gonna take this momentum and rock on to the PGR 500. Can't wait for that.
Sounds like a plan. Well, Trevor, before we let you head out to go celebrate your winnings, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Hey, man, got to shout out first and foremost you guys putting on the broadcast. I know this was something we were looking forward to. This is a pre ensemble to the big thing coming up here next weekend. So I can't wait to go back and watch that. Can't wait to go back and see the production and all the flair that you guys put on these broadcasts each and every week, especially this one. Got to shout out Michael Baker putting this on PGR. The recruitment races are always great. I enjoy them every single time. Can't wait. I'm kind of sad that we're not doing these anymore. I wish this could be like a weekly thing. We just bring outside guys in and race with them while we money race. I think that's a cool concept that we could probably usher in. Also, the Jack Shack, baby, we was rocking tonight. Had some numbers out here tonight. And me and Justin there at the end. Unfortunately, Justin, he got bit. He got bit by the old super speedway bug coming out of 4, baby. And it's just one of those things, and it happens to the best of us. But unfortunately, took him out. Appreciate Justin. Appreciate all the guys up there that were racing around here tonight. They're definitely taking care of each other. It wasn't anything crazy. We were just doing what we know how to do, and that's race and race good. And I hope it was a great show that y'all put on, or that y'all saw and y'all produced tonight. So yeah, man, can't wait for the PGR 500 heat races and LCQs and all the shenanigans that goes on in between that. Yeah, man, shout out to the fans and the people watching. Y'all get ready, because it's gonna be a show. And yeah, man, appreciate y'all, and we'll see. Hopefully I can see you again, man. Hopefully I see you on I don't know, a Sunday, possibly around 5 o'clock. Possibly the winner of the PGR 500, but a lot of tough guys out here tonight, and we'll see how that goes, man. Appreciate y'all.
Well, that would certainly be the goal. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I forgot one last thing, man. Fulcher's Paint and Body, TA Autosports. Shout out to them each and every week. Always on the car, Midnight Racing League. Shout out to my boy Chase. I told him I was gonna do it, but yeah, appreciate y'all, man, and we'll see y'all next go around.
And Trevor, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats on the win, and we will see you during the week of the 500.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
All right, and that was obviously a very enthusiastic Trevor Osbornoff, and doesn't look like we have the other 2 top 3 finishers in the booth up here tonight, Dawson, but that certainly didn't take away from what we saw in the event. It was absolutely fantastic. Could have asked for more for a way to round out the final recruitment race that will be broadcasted, but the thing I noticed tonight, which I know we talked about earlier, was how viable that third lane is when you get the right guys up on it. I think that's going to be a key next week.
Absolutely, it's going to be a key next week. Again, these guys continue to figure out not only this setup underneath this race car, but the new aero package on this next-gen car. For a little bit, I think it was just a filling out process, and guys didn't have enough reps, didn't have enough opportunities to try things, to get that third lane to work, or to figure out how they could get that third lane to work, but also how they could get the middle 2 lanes to work, the middle and the bottom, to be able to cycle as much as they did tonight. There was a lot of shuffling tonight that reminded me a little bit of some old packages that we're used to. So, these guys have figured it out at the perfect time. Next week is going to be electric. If the racing in these races has told us anything, it's that next week is a can't-miss event. You will not want to miss a second of it. I can't wait, and it's only Wednesday. We've got 5 days to wait. It's hard to believe it's going to take that long, but man, it'll be here before we know it. Cannot wait for the PGR 500 next week, and hope everyone will join us along the way as well.
Yeah, and only 3 days left. And only 3 days left to register for that one, so we'll keep it short here. Before we wrap it up, again, things kick off next week with the first heat race on Monday at 9 o'clock, and that'll continue throughout the rest of the week with the pole shootout, the next big event. That'll be on Friday, the LCQ and duels on Saturday, and the feature going to kick off next Sunday at 12 o'clock. For tonight, that's going to do it for myself, Austin Green, alongside my partner Dawson Wise and DJ Lyon up in the booth producing for us. We appreciate all of his efforts. We will be back next week to kick it off for the PGR 500. Until then, thanks for joining us here from Daytona, and we will see you next time. Have a good night.